All right. Well, tonight we have an amazing segment. Woo! We're talking about rodents. How to make your home rodent proof. And as we're getting ready, we have 2 minutes. Can I just tell you a little story about me and some chickens? And they're not rodents, but they're just give so much trouble. They're in my garden and give me so much trouble. There's this rooster. I tell you, I just cannot stand that rooster. I cannot. That rooster is so annoying, And they came and dug up my squash. I'm trying my best. And I was so upset. I said, you know what? I'm gonna set something for these chickens, and they're going to die. That's what I told myself. And then I heard a little thought came to me and said, Marcia, why are you going to kill the chickens? Take care of the chickens. Don't kill the chickens. Take care of them. So here we go. We create a little place so that we're now trying to trap the chickens. So if you can tell me how to trap them, they go in and I'm going to feed them and I'm going to take care of them. But that's not what you do with rodents. Rodents, you get rid of rodents. And we have with us Maurice Gaskin, and he's highly recommended by Dr. Roderick Hines. And he is going to talk to us about how to make your home rodent proof, because that has a lot to do with our health as well. Okay, it's not just what we put in our mouth, it's what is around us and how clean our place is. Okay, so here is Mr. Maurice Gaskin. He's a retired and a principal, I might add, environmental health officer. Good night, sir. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. You have to unmute your mic. No, you're muted again. Unmute it. Unmute it.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good
night. Okay, so what is happening? You have to come out of the other one.
Okay.
Okay, I took you out.
All right.
I took you out, so that works fine. I took you out. All right, let you settle.
Hi.
All right. Hi. Good night.
Right. Good evening to everyone that's listening and watching.
Good evening, sir.
Right. Before we get to the part about rodent proofing, we need to understand something about rodents. And we have 3 types of rodents in Barbados. We have the mouse, which is called the musculus, that's the scientific name. And we call that the house mouse or the field mouse. And that tends to live mostly in your house, especially if you are storing boxes, newspapers, clothes, and so on. It like to nest in what we call stored materials. Stored materials meaning these are things in your home that you're not moving every day. So as long as you have these things about 2 to 3 weeks there, then the mouse will look to breed. And it tends to venture no more than 10 to 20 feet away from where it is living. The droppings are rod-shaped, shaped like a pencil. And the droppings are between 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. And it like to feed on like fruits, vegetables, and the tail is longer than head and body because it likes to climb. So that is. Then we have 2 types of rats, and I want everyone to listen to me very carefully. There's a rat that lives up in the tree called the Ratus rat. Rawtus, Rawtus. It's also called the ship rat, SHIP, the roof rat, and the tree rat. That is the rat that go up in the coconut trees, bite the coconut, and that's why you say you have to listen to me carefully because I love coconut water. I guess everybody listening loves coconut water, very nutritious and so on, very healthy. But you have to be careful when you purchase the coconut water from the vendor, not to allow the vendor to cut the shell and give you the jelly to eat. Because the vendors will tell you when they're going up in the tree to pick the coconuts, many times they encounter rats up in the tree. And the rats are very smart. They go up in the tree and bite the coconut, and then they don't want to climb back down. So they bite the stem, they cling on to the coconut to get back down to the tree, and when the coconut gets about 4 feet from the ground, they jump off. The droppings are what we call spindle shaped like a banana, where the middle is fat and the two ends are thin. So that is, and when they get, when the mouse get young ones, they usually get 6 to 8 babies in what we call a litter. And they breed about 6 times per year. The ratus rat usually get 8 to 10 babies in a litter. While the rat that lives on the ground is called the Ratus norvegus. And the common names would be the brown rat, while the other two are blackish gray. This particular rat, the Ratus norvegus, which we are seeing here on the screen, the brown rat, is called the brown rat, the ground rat, the tongue rat, the wharf rat, and the common rat, because you see that rat more often. And that rat, the tail of the other two, the ratus and the mouse, the tail is longer than head and body. This particular rat, the tail is shorter than head and body because this rat is pretty fat and it would not want to climb. So it tends to burrow. And that is why when the environmental health officers come around and inspect your premises, and we ask you to keep the bush around your home no more than 4 inches. When you allow it to grow taller than 4 inches, this rat knows it can hide in the bush and it burrows. So when they talk about burrowing, it dig holes in the ground, and it know that if you run it, it goes through one hole and then it excavates under the ground, and it will meet out probably another 20 or 30 feet away from where you run it into another area. The home range for the two rats are about 50 to 100 feet. And last year we were doing some training with some janitors, the Ministry of Education, janitors and general workers. And I spoke a lot on hantavirus. And lo and behold, only about 3 weeks ago, you heard about hantavirus outbreak on the ship.
Yes.
I want to jump in here earlier, Clark, and speak about hantavirus. Hantavirus is when the saliva, the urine, the feces go into the soil from the rats and the mouse. And it remains there for a long time. And when you disturb it, it is the inhalation of that rat urine, feces, and saliva that you inhale that cause hantavirus. So, say someone going out in the backyard, they're collecting bottles for sale, and they're storing the bottles out in the yard. Rodents are what we call nocturnal, so they come out at night. They see better at night. The sunlight tends to interfere with the eyesight. So anytime you're seeing rodents during the day, there's a likelihood that there's a high infestation of rodents because the sunlight interferes with the eyes, so you normally will not see them But just like how you have a bad boy on the block where people lime and you have this leader of the gang, there's also a leader of the rodents. And once you're seeing it during the day, it means that they're fighting for territory. And the bully rat is driving out the less vulnerable rats. So you normally should not be seeing them. So at night when they come out, as I said, they come out at night, they run around, they look for food, and they urinate and so on. So my advice to someone who is seeing rodents on the premises and so on, and they're storing bottles, storing other objects and so on, it's best to get a container with at least a half gallon of water,
Mm-hmm.
put about 3 to 4 caps of bleach in that water, sprinkle the area, and leave it for at least 20 minutes. And then they could take up the bottles using gloves and also using a mask. And that will protect you from hantavirus. Rodents also transmit um, leptospirosis. We get about probably 2 to 3 deaths sometime each year, mostly in the country, St. John, St. Joseph. Just before I leave the ministry, we had a few cases in St. John because those country districts, people do a lot of farming. You should never go outside bare feet. You should have on mostly enclosing shoes and preferably rubber boots. You should have on gloves, you should have on a mask, and you should wear a long sleeve shirt because the if you come in contact with the urine, you could pick up leptospirosis.
Oh,
Another
wow.
disease transmitted by rodents is rat bite fever, and the rat um, if persons tend sometimes. I had a case years ago when I was a young junior inspector. I had a case somewhere where a lady was in a wheelchair
Yes.
and she's a double amputee, and the house was in a very dilapidated condition, and the family would go and purchase chicken and chips and spare ribs and give her, and which is good, but what they would not do is bring a pan and wash her hands and mouth. So the rodents will come through the siding and the flooring and bite her. And she ended up in the hospital twice with rat bite fever because she would not feel the rodents biting her because she was diabetic.
Oh
So
my.
yes, so these are things you need to be careful of. And then we speak about hantavirus, but there's also a disease called bubonic plague, where the flea, and that was a big disease in London. They had to burn down near the whole town of London years ago, where the flea, just if you have a dog flea, the flea go on rodents and bite, take the blood of rodents and come and bite you and give you a disease called bubonic plague, which is a very, very, very fatal disease. For those persons who are listening that have dogs, my advice to them, because we are actually talking about rodent proofing and things, so this also extends to the backyard. Persons with dogs, they're when they see around, well, this is the summertime, so it's getting dark now around 6:15. So around 6:15, around this time, and around Christmas time when it gets dark pretty early, around 5 o'clock, around November, December, they need to remove all dog food around 5, 6 o'clock and take it up from by the dog, put it in a plastic bag, and put it in the garbage can in the house. Because in 2012, I was quoted on CBC TV. We did some some tests with dogs. We test, I think, 120 dogs in 2012, and 81 dogs tested positive for leptospirosis out of the
Wow.
120 dogs. And that is very high statistics, because what happened is, as I said, the rats are nocturnal. So when nighttime, the rodents ease up to the dog food, and the dog then run at if it's tight, the dog is tight, it run at the rat run away, the rat come back and tease it about 6 times till it gets fed up and remove. And while the rats are eating the dog food, they're nervous because they believe the dog will bite them. So while they're eating, they're nervous and they tend to urinate at the same time. And when the dog turn around, then they eat this dog food. Then they themselves come down with leptospirosis. I forgot to mention that the droppings of the Rattus norvegus is capsule shaped. So the droppings of the mouse is rod shaped like a pencil. The droppings of the rattus is spindle shaped like a banana, and the droppings of the Rattus norvegus is capsule shaped. Persons, the government. I remember when I was at the vector control unit. I spent 6 years at the vector control unit in Bridgetown, and I used to purchase rodent bait. Probably 180,000 Barbados dollars I used to spend in the budget purchasing rodent bait each year. 180,000 Barbados dollars. We used to receive 60,000 packs of bait every 4 months. So what I'm saying is that rodent bait, the brigand bait, is available. We have 9 polyclinics, but 7 polyclinics with environmental health officers. So a Yale Cochrane polyclinic would not carry inspectors, nor the Glebe polyclinic. So Vincent Scott will be responsible for a Yale Cochrane, and the David Thompson and St. Philip polyclinic will be responsible for the Glebe polyclinic. But all other seven polyclinics, rodent bait is available Monday to Friday between 8:30 and 4:30, and you're allowed to.
You can get it free.
And you get this bait free. Once you're 18 years and over, you get the bait free.
And where are you to go? Where do you go? There's a wind coming in your mic. Where do you go?
You go to Bramford Tate Polyclinic in Black Rock if you're in that area or attending the clinic there, Bramford Tate Polyclinic. And that polyclinic services from Swan Street to Whole Town. Yes, taking in all of the farm, Deacons Road, Bank Hall, Ferniehurst, Black Rock, right down to Whole Town. And then from Whole Town down to St. Lucie and St. Andrew and mostly of St. James, that is the Maurice Bay Polyclinic. So if anyone is near there, they go into Maurice Bay Polyclinic and collect the bait. And for those persons living in St. John and St. Joseph, they could go to the David Thompson Polyclinic for St. John and St. Joseph. St. Philip Polyclinic, the catchment starts at Sky Mall and go from Sky Mall to Fortescue in St. Philip. So persons in those areas could go to St. Philip Polyclinic and collect bait. For persons who in the Randall Phillips Polyclinic, Randall Phillips starts at the Hastings and it ends by Miss Ram Place at Old Berry. Very large catchment. And Vincent Scott Polyclinic starts on the side with Woodworth and it ends at Sheraton in Christchurch. So I have just given you all the areas, the catchment areas where persons could collect bait, 2 packs of bait. When I was in the ministry, both at Vector and when I finished at Eunice Gibson Polyclinic, what I used to do is to write to Massey and Jordans and Carlton and Emerald City in different supermarkets and asked for permission to distribute beer on Saturdays. So I used to distribute beer between 9 and 1 on Saturdays at different locations across the island because I did that to allow persons who would not be able to collect the beer during the week between 8:30 and 4:30. What I did was to carry the beer to persons in the community. And I think that since I leave the ministry, my good friend who went to college with me, Mr. Erskine Springer, he had a session, I think last year. I assisted him at Jordan's in Spikestown and Carlton Supermarket in Black Rock. So I think that the ministry needs to start that back to take the bit to the communities. What I would like to state here is that bit, the brigand bit, you will see it's about 3 ounces a bit. And 12, we did some experiments, and 10 to 12 of those small pellets will kill a rat. So when you collect 1 pack of bait, sometimes persons come to the polyclinic and quarrel and say we only giving them 1 pack of bait. But 1 pack of bait could kill 6 rats. So if you get 2 packs of bait, then you could kill 12 rats. And we did some experiments where we put down some trapped some rats, and we fed them the pellets. So when we got to 10 to 12 pellets, we realized that the pellets would kill 10 to 12 would kill a rat. The bait is what we call a acute bait. Sorry, it's a chronic bait, not an acute bait. And the reason why this bait is made of sugar corn and the active ingredient, the poison. And the reason why this bait is called a chronic bait instead of an acute bait is this bait, we want the bait, when the rat eat the bait, that it will not immediately kill the rat. Because if it immediately kill the rat within hours, then you will get what you call bait shyness, where the other rats, seeing other rats dying, they will avoid the bait. So it takes about 2 days to kill a rat. The poison takes about 2 days to kill a rat. For persons collecting the bait and they're baiting on the outside of the premises, I always advocate that you get some PVC pipe, cut it about 20 to 22 inches in length, 4-inch or 6-inch pipe, and you put the bait up in the pipe. And because the bait, once it gets wet, it do not work as good as if it's dry. So you cut the PVC pipe and you place it on the side of your paling, so to speak. So you should you have these 3 different corners of the yard. So on each side of the yard, you should put down 1 piece of conduit with the poison, so that the rainfall, the bait will not get wet, and also you're protecting birds and dogs and animals from eating the bait. If you do not have the PVC pipe, for those who could afford it, the environmental sanitation unit at Black Rock, down by the Lazaretta in Black Rock, down where the University of the West Indies, there's a building down there where the Animal Control Center is. That department down there, environmental sanitation unit, they build what you call a bait station.
Yes.
And sell the bait station for $50. They do not build them to make a profit. So it is the same PVC pipe in a concrete structure that keeps the PVC pipe in place. Because if you get the PVC pipe and you put the bait in it, then you have to put a stone to keep it in place from the wind blowing it. But
Yes.
if for those persons who could afford the bait station, they could go there and buy them at $50. If you purchase your own bait station, it is in gray or pink, while the ministry baits Bridgetown, Spoutstown, Holetown, Oistins, and Warrens using the green bait station. So
Mm-hmm.
we come at someone premises and see a green bait station, then that's illegal because we know that is the government property. And then we could call the police for them.
Oh
And,
wow.
and, and so but if you purchase your own bait station, it is either gray or pink. Um, Another innovative where you could bait, you know the big Marseille, you know the big Coke and Sprite pet bottles.
Yes.
You could get two, cut the top and bottom of both of them,
Mm-hmm.
join them together, and you have you have a bait station, and you put a stone in the middle to stop it from blowing around, and you could also put the bait up in there.
Mm.
So the big Sprite, not the small ones,
Yeah, the
500
bottom.
milliliter, big ones, yes. And you could put the bait up in there. When I was at Vector Control Unit, there's a poison that not even the Ministry of Agriculture had in the possession, only the Vector Control Unit. That bait is called zinc phosphide. Zinc, Z-I-N-C,
Mm-hmm.
P-H-O-S-P-H-I-D-E, zinc phosphide. And this zinc phosphide looks like mud. And when I was at the Vector Control Unit, we will go and bait Hastings Rocks and Bridgetown.
Yes.
And we would mix that zinc phosphide with food because it carries a very pungent odor like bleach. So if you
Hmm.
just put it down like that, the rats will not eat it. So we will mix it with food, and we are grateful to a lot of the business stores and restaurants in Bridgetown when I was there. I would go and ask them for food that left back in the evening. They would graciously give me that food, and we will mix it with the zinc. And what happens is that when we put down the zinc phosphide with the food, and the rats eat it, it creates a gas called phosphine, phosphine gas, which destroys the kidneys and liver of the rat. And
Mm.
sometimes when we break down, the next day when we go and check, we will see something 150 to 200 rats that sanitation and Ministry of Agriculture and Environment has to pick up from the rat. It kills in 3 hours.
Wow.
Yes, 3 hours, zinc phosphide. So that is a special bait. That is a bait that we would not, even though I'm retired from the Ministry of Health, and it was a senior person, if I go and ask for that bait, they would not give me. That bait is an extremely dangerous bait.
Oh my God. This is because I'm listening here. I love when I go in the garden. I'm one of those. I always have on my socks and I have on my boots or my sneakers. All right, but I use my hands. I don't do. I have my husband. He bought me a pair of gloves there, and I have the pair of gloves. I still can find it too. Sometimes I lose one, but I still, and only today I only use it because I was using the fork and I didn't want to hurt my hand. But when I'm dealing with the dirt, I like to use my hands. So you're telling me I need to use gloves? Oh, he dropped out at my question. Oh my God, this is so much information, don't you all think? Oh, this is so much, even with the dog food. That is so true. Oh my lordy. Oh my God. when I'm gonna start wearing my gloves. Oh, this is I have to be more careful. Yes. Somebody says it's good. You see, it's good to have cats. Yes, you need a cat. You need cats. You really need cats, you know. Oh my gosh, he dropped out, Mr. Grit, Mr. I mean, let me just give a shout out. Do you see how this man is sitting? He's not reading any papers, you know. He is just speaking it. And somebody been shouting and giving him a shout out here, business finance, and he was saying what a thorough presentation, an excellent presentation, a great credit to the quality of civil servants that we have had, that what we have in Barbados, because he's worked at as a principal environmental health officer, and he has been assigned at the Eunice Gibson Polyclinic in Warrens. This is Maurice Gaskin. He's retired now, but doing an amazing job. Wasn't this thorough, guys? And we have to big up Dr. Hines, Dr. Roderick Hines. This is quality. Dr. Hines, oh my goodness, take a bow. Take a bow, Dr. Hines. You did a great job. And so yes, top notch. I mean, we have top notch people on here. You listened to Stephen Strickland last night as he was speaking about the pensions. That man, you don't need to look in a book. You know, it just comes off his mouth. It comes out of his mouth. You're going to hear Corey Beckles a little later talking about estates law. He's coming in another 2 minutes or so. But Maurice is back. Mr. Gaskin is back. Mr. Gaskin, we have 2 minutes. We were just saying you're doing such an excellent job.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes. So I was talking about the zinc phosphide. So we mostly bait Hastings Rocks, Oistins, Bridgetown, Holetown, Spikestown to get a pretty fast knockdown. There's also we in the ministry we operate under 25 different regulations, and we have a rodent control regulation which speaks to persons keeping a lot of junk in the premises, or fridges or stores, a lot of refuse, so we could write them and prosecute them for keeping them place untidy under the Health Services Rodent Control Regulations or the Health Services Nuisances Regulations. And the cars, the vehicles, there are about 13,000 derelict vehicles in Barbados. And these vehicles are known to encourage rodent breeding.
Yeah.
And they're unsightly. They block public service vehicles like police, the ambulance, fire truck, and so on. So there's a program now the ministry is putting in place to rid the island of a lot of these derelict vehicles. They're unsightly. They're put, what persons don't realize, they're put down with when they're put down, the gas tank contains fragments of gas and diesel, which could, if persons smoking or there's a fire near around, that these could explode. Persons usually break in people's homes and stash the things in these same vehicles.
Yes.
And then when these parts are exposed to collect water, and we see a lot of mosquito breeding in these vehicles. So, and then they devalue persons' properties. So these vehicles, there are a lot of nuisances surrounding these vehicles. There are about 13,000 of them, and about 14,000, yes, and there are about 14,000 either vacant, dilapidated, or unoccupied houses in Barbados. There are about 14,000. We did a study with them a few years ago, and we discovered there are about 14,000 of these houses and about 13,000 vehicles.
vehicles.
Um,
You know what? We're going to have to. I will have to talk with Dr. Hines that we got to get you back, and
yes,
when we
I'm
come back,
available
we're gonna
whenever you
work
want
on.
me. I'm available.
Awesome. We're gonna work on your camera and your sound because we want to hear you properly. Okay, we're gonna work on
Right.
that. But you did an excellent job. Let me take this opportunity to thank you. The 30 minutes just went so quickly
So
talking
quickly,
about
yes,
yoga.
yes,
Yeah. But we're
yes,
going to
yes.
come back and do a part 2. Thank you so much for joining us tonight,
Okay. And
Miss. Yes, Miss Gaskin.
thanks for inviting me.
Yes, sir. You did an
Okay.
amazing job.
Yeah.
Tell
Thank you
your
very much. Yeah.
friends thank you for helping.
Yeah. Okay
All
then.
right.
Thanks, Emma.
Yes.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.